Education is key to success. We haven't told our parents. Each one have to teach one. Must bomb beside the one. We haven't told us. Each one got to teach one. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
Dumelang, welcome to Each One Teach One. Nna ke nna Pula Matsaung. Bophelong re na le merero le dipheo ka bophelo ba rona, ka bana ba rona le ka baratuwa ba rona. Dintho tseo di etsa re bane le direction, re tsebe re sebeletsang, re bane le tumelo, re bane le boleng. Ho ne ho le fela jwalo ka Sameshni Moodley. Le yena o ne a batla dikamano, a batla career, a batla bophelo bo kganyang. Empa tseo dana da mo fetohela kaofela ka tsatsi la hae la tsa maphelo ha ilo ihlola mosebetsing.
When I was 6 years old, I was sexually abused by a family member. And when it had happened, I immediately told my parents, and because he was living with us, he was then asked to leave. And I don't remember much because like the brain shuts out most of your hurtful or traumatic memories. A lot of what has happened during my childhood has been blocked out, and the only thing that I can remember is one incident where I disclosed to my parents what was happening and they asked him to leave. My parents have always been there for me. And I can't imagine any other parents having brought me up with the strong values and morals that they have given me.
It wasn't the easiest. Her dad was an alcoholic at the time when the kids were growing. As a mum, I shouldn't have found that as an excuse, but given them my undivided attention. So they didn't find to go out and find love elsewhere when I could have done that. I could have saved them from everything that has happened. As a mum, I could have done that for them. But I didn't look at them as they were hurting more than myself.
I think the abuse from being a child led to my adulthood thinking about love being sex, really. So if a relationship didn't have sexual encounters, or if someone didn't show me love via a sexual nature, I felt that there wasn't love. And that's why going into adulthood, because I didn't deal with my childhood abuse, it led to me having sexually abusive and emotional abusive relationships, not because I chose it, but because I didn't know anything else. I knew growing up that sex was love because that's what happened to me as a child, and growing up I thought that by having sex with a guy, it was love. Everything that I've done after I had matriculated sort of just fell through in terms of choosing, just trying to get a job really. So I did a basic computer course, and at the end of that year I'd moved to Johannesburg and tried to then find a job in the corporate environment. So I didn't really have much of a tertiary education besides the basic administration course that I did. So like I do with most of my clients, I arrange wellness days for them, and it was just an ordinary event that I was planning for my own company, hosting a wellness day. And being the host, I went to have the screening done at one of the nurses, and when I had the test done, the results came back positive, And I think between myself and the nurse, we just stared each other in the face, not knowing whether to redo the results or to for her to actually give me the counseling of me being HIV positive. I'd immediately, in fact, before I even left the office, I'd phoned my doctor to make an appointment to see him, because I was in such disbelief. I didn't believe the results until I knew that if I'd done a blood test that and my doctor of 4 or 5 years would then confirm my results. So up until I think the next morning, I was in limbo really, not knowing whether it was positive, whether it was a false positive. You know, all of those thoughts were running through my mind, and I didn't get much sleep that night until I went to the doctor the next morning. So when I went to my doctor the next day and had my blood test done, and immediately the results came back and it was positive, my doctor sat me down and gave me counseling, told me what the options are, and you know, that I can live a long, healthy life, I can have children, I can get married. I was still in disbelief. I still didn't believe it. I think I've cried so many tears since then. You know, you don't really get over it once you hear that news.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
bophelo ba Sam ba ne ba fetoga gagolo tsatsi le a na jotsa gore o na le HIV AIDS. O ne a sa phele bophelo bo risky, o be a na le merero le sepheo ka bophelo ba hae. Tseo go etsela gore di sa kgonagala gobane e se e le o mongwe wa basadi ba more than 4 million ba phelang ka HIV AIDS mona South Africa, ba leng ka godimo ga dilemo di le 15.
I was ashamed really of my status. I didn't tell anyone besides my sister who I lived with at the time. She had come with me. She knew the Friday, I even know the day of the week it was. She knew on the Friday evening of the results. I went home, made the appointment, and she came with me to the doctor, and all she did was hug me and say she loves me. My sister saying those words, she loves me, just gave me a sense of hope, that little hope, just to carry on with my life.
The only thing that I really remember is her saying to me those words, and me saying to her that you're my sister, I love you regardless, and it doesn't matter. And I think being older and having lived in Joburg on my own before her, it sort of toughened me up. So when she told me her news, I almost got into a mode where I had to just be the strong older sister. And I didn't think the worst. I just thought, we're going to deal with this, that's it.
It took me 4 years to disclose my status to my parents. I think I had to build up courage. I had to have the conversation in my head about what they'd say, what their reactions would be regarding my status. It was also a shock, and you know, I was their baby girl who, you know, at that time, obviously with the not a lot of education at that time, you know, they probably also thought it was, you know, a death sentence. So really I was afraid to tell them at that time.
I couldn't live with myself. I would go to bed crying. I would hide my emotions as well, not showing it to the dad, because I didn't want him to know that I'm hurting so much. Because for me, my kids mean the world to me, and I can't imagine my life without them. I just cannot. So I was scared, very, very scared.
So So the stories I told myself after my diagnosis was really that my life was over, so I might as well end my life on a high. And that's why I became this person that partied all the time and really wanted to end my life on a high. And that was the story that I told myself. I didn't think I was going to get married, didn't think I was going to find a life partner that loves me, exactly for who I am, HIV status or none. And those are the stories that I played in my mind. So every time I went out and, I partied with my friends, had a drink, or decided to, do drugs, that was the story that played, that I was going to die, I wasn't going to live, so why not go down having a party?
I didn't know how to actually support her or help her. The only way that I knew how to do it was to actually be her designated driver. So if she would go out, I would be the one driving her around, just so I would know she would be safe. I'd even sometimes sleep in the car in the club waiting for her, get parked in. And now we can sort of laugh about it, but back then it was very stressful because I just wanted to make sure that she got home safe.
So because my partner had not disclosed his status to me, I felt like I had to be the honest one going forward into any new relationship. So any guy that I met, even on my first date, the first thing I'd tell the person is that I'm HIV positive. And a lot of times I was faced with rejection. The worst thing that I've heard from a person was they can't date a person like me. That really made me feel like I wasn't like the rest of the world. It made me feel like an outsider, like I was different. But I learned to embrace that being different, being unique, and living to inspire the best life that I possibly can.
Well, at the beginning, our relationship was more a friends thing, so we were more friends than we actually didn't look at each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. I didn't actually ask her, do you want to meet my parents, or can I disclose your status to my parents? She actually said, you know what, it would be nice to meet your parents and also just tell who she is. And so they were also more curious about what's making Kaylin so happy, so joyful. Let's get to know her better.
The catalyst and the defining moment of me making the change was after I'd gone out on a Saturday night, partied, and I still remember, coming home after drinking and doing drugs with my friends. I'd come home, and after the high of all the drugs, I sat in my room with the windows closed, the curtains drawn, and I was in pure darkness inside and out. And a little voice inside me said, "This is not the life I want to lead." And from that Monday, I made an appointment with my doctor to make sure that my CD4 count and my viral load was healthy enough to progress to the next path in my life. I then made a few appointments with different therapists to see which therapist would then fit with me. And that was really my saving grace, that little voice inside my head that was God on my shoulder saying, "You can do this." The news story that played in my mind, and yes, it's been, they always say there are a few layers to every onion, and each time you peel an onion layer, there's going to be tears. And my perseverance just to peel back those onion layers, and when you get to the center of that onion, you don't cry anymore. And that's the point that I wanted to get to. And I know now that I look back, I don't know how I came through it, or what actually made me follow through with it. But from my drinking days to my party days, now I'm a 4:30 girl that wakes up in the morning, 5 a.m. I'm at gym, And that's become my routine. I eat healthy, I exercise, I eat well, I drink lots of water, and that's become my new routine now. Yes, I do have a drink every now and then, or a slice of cake, which everybody does, but my routine has totally transformed from being a party girl who drinks every day, who forgets to remember the night before. Now I live to remember the days ahead. You know, I always say that HIV saved my life, and I know that's such an odd statement to make, but HIV really did save my life, because prior to having HIV, I really didn't have any direction in life. I was just playing along as the road would lead me from job to job. But now, having HIV, I know that I have a purpose to help others, to inspire them to live a greater life.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
Mom, where were you when she was in that dark space? Were you in communication with her after you have found out? What role have you played?
I've had no communication, and that's what hurts me the most, is that there's always the ifs and buts, and I wish, and if I could.
So what made the communication to be lost?
I think while dealing with my diagnosis, I really felt ashamed, and I felt like I had let my parents down. And I think that's where the barrier of communication came in, because it wasn't that they were not there for me, it was that I didn't allow them to be there. Just because of the stories that I played in my head, of the conversations that if I did tell them, I'd be disowned, or they'd, not love me. And those stories were so strong in my head that it actually caused a barrier for me not to communicate with them.
And Mom, I know that living with buts and ifs is the most dangerous thing that can happen to one. And it can be the biggest cause of negative emotions, and also it can create diseases. So the reason I'm saying this is that part of you, the big thing that you need to start on is your own healing process. So part of the healing process is to be able to say everything that you want to say out of your heart. And that's the opportunity now that I would like for you to look at your daughter and tell her, what were your fears at that time when she disclosed that to you? What were your fears? What are the things that you wished you could have done, and what are your wishes? So start with the fears when she came to you and your husband as the parents. What were your fears? So you can have a conversation with her.
My fears were that I was going to lose my baby girl. I didn't know what to think. And I asked myself, as a mother, what have I done so wrong that my baby had to be punished? If it had to be, you could have punished me, but not taken away her livelihood and who she's supposed to be. I was terrified, I was petrified, and I just didn't know who to reach out to and what to do. It was very painful for me, and I wish she had opened up to me, because my children will always be my children no matter what. I will stand by them, and I will wish the best for them always. I will not turn away from my children. It's not the mother that I am. I never was, and I never will be to my kids, ever. That's what I want my children to know, and Sam must know this as well.
Mom, I would like to commend you and your husband. The love that you've offered all of you girls, including Sam, it is the love that cushioned her, that made her to get out of that dungeon that she was in. You know, sometimes when things happen in life and you go into the dark space, sometimes we go into the dark space, we sleep, and sometimes we die there. But she did not. She was able to rise. And the only thing that led her or was able to make her to rise, it is the foundation. And where else do we get foundation? We get foundations from the values and the love that was instilled by you. You disclosed your status to Kaden, and was it an easy thing for you? Is it something that you felt you had to do? Have you done it before?
Yes, I disclosed my status to whether it was just a date or someone that, you know, I thought would be a boyfriend or a partner, just purely because of honesty and the way I was treated and the way I had been diagnosed, with the person not disclosing it to me. I felt that I didn't want to do that to someone else because I know what I've been through, and I didn't want to inflict the same pain and the same trauma on someone else.
In that moment, did you have any fears?
I did have fears. I did fear that, you know, if I had to be intimate with her, that I would get the disease as well. And also for me, I wouldn't know how to handle it as well. You know, she is a great person, and you know, you have to see past that, past the disease and past, you know, her dark days.
And what would you like to say to him for being there for you and holding your hand while you know, walked that journey and you're still walking that journey?
I know this may sound cliche, but I didn't think love was possible before Kaylin. Because I've been hurt and, you know, have gone through so much of trauma, that when I met Kaylin, the walls around my heart literally just broke into pieces, and my love for him is, you know, no words really can express or explain how much of love I have for this guy. He truly is my rock. He holds my hands. Even though he doesn't like running that much, he still wakes up in the morning. He's my #1 supporter, and I just want to say I love him and thank you.
Love you too.
And if you are it's not important what happens to you, because that happens to all of us. So what is important go gore wena ke eng se o se etsang ka se se go hlahellang bophelong ba hao. Sam, Mom, Kaylin, thank you so much. Any last words that you want to say to somebody who's sitting and they're going through whatever they're going through in life?
What I'd want to say to them is to take a deep breath and look for the light within themselves, because they're stronger than they think they are, and they can overcome any difficulties that are on their path, and difficulties and struggles in life only make them stronger. So whatever they're facing now is only a pathway to what's greater ahead of them.
Right. Viewers, seek silence that is empowering for you, and a chooser the choices tsa hao le di decisions tsa hao ska re bua ka mehla ke tsona tse ileng gore di lo ama maemo ao, but pallo ya hao ke yona e leng gore ha ya tlameha go suta. Nna le wena re ka bana le bonnete ba re bophelo bo na le di-fortunes bo na le di-misfortunes, and o ka se phele ka ntle ho tsona, and o ka se di fetole. Just because ha o rate June le July, o ka se ye ko calendeng wa ditabola wa nana re di ka se be teng. Wena wa tlameha go ihlophisa ka hare ho dikgwedi tseo. Nna le wena re na le matla a go ikaha, and hape re na le matla a go ipolaya. This is Each One Teach One. Nna ke nna Pula wa Matsaung. Ho fihlela re kopana hape beke e latelang, dula leseding.